Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Scott. You're watching Exploring Attractions, and today we have a brand new Universal's Epic Universe construction update. As always, if you're new here, consider subscribing down below with those bell notifications on, and leave this video a like at the end if you enjoyed it. And as always, you can find all of our social media down below, Instagram and Twitter. Make sure to check out our social media pages because there's going to be a lot of fun stuff happening this week, including the opening of Runaway Railway at Disneyland, and of course our first ever visit to Super Nintendo World. So that'll all be on our socials and of course on YouTube. Like I said, we do have another Universal's Epic Universe construction update, and shout out to Bowery Construct as usual. And like everyone's been saying on Twitter, as myself, I'm just so happy that he's back at it and he's feeling a lot better. And if you don't know any context of that, you can go ahead and check out his Twitter for more information as far as what I was saying. But of course, BioReconstruct is a legend as always, so make sure to follow his Twitter page. Now let's get into the fun stuff and break down and analyze all the different construction photos from this week for Epic Universe opening up in 2025. First, we're going to kick things off with the hotel. And no, I'm not talking about the hotel that's actually on site. I'm talking about the hotel that's just down the street off site, the one that's supposed to have some form of a space theme. And you can really tell that space theme because of the circular windows, just the shape of all the windows, as well as in the lobby area of this new hotel. You can just easily tell that it will be some form of space theme, as will the main central hub of Epic Universes, or at least a rumor to, with the dual racing roller coaster. As we have been seeing, this one is obviously making a lot more progress than the one on site, and I'm sure we'll start to see a lot more detail go on as the weeks progress. Speaking of the space theme, I want to talk a little bit about the rumored space theme dual racing roller coaster, because lots has changed since the last time that we were able to see this. First of all, in that launch section or the loading station, it looks like they put a covering up, and they've also added supports to the maintenance bay. No new track has been added, but that's not for you guys to get disappointed by, because in this next shot you can see just how many supports have been added. It's truly insane to see the complexity of all these supports lined up, and now we have all those footers that there's no empty footers anymore. Like I've said before in a couple of our recent updates, those footers will soon have supports on them, and then track. Well, like I said, now there's tons on there. Right now it just looks like a whole mess. It looks super confusing onto knowing where track is going to be placed at. But I can assure you, if Epic Universe and Universal is going full steam ahead with placing all these different supports, then you can only assume that they're going to start placing track within the next couple days or so. And you can see in this aerial shot just where all the supports are located at, not too far away from the track that's already been placed. And then of course across from that is the How to Train Your Dragon Land, just to kind of fit it to scale of how big this roller coaster is going to be. Now there is plenty of track and support stage right now on site, and you can just tell with the track color, that kind of green and yellowish, sitting in the parking lot right now waiting to all be placed. And obviously that's not all the track, because that's only a little bit. There for sure will be a lot more track being added to that parking lot very soon. Now of course, speaking of coasters, I want to talk a little bit about the How to Train Your Dragon coaster. Now track has been added a lot more, however not in the same rapid rate that the dual racing one has been added. You can see kind of like a bank turn coming out of what seems to be a launch section. And it's a little bit harder to tell and track some of the coaster's progress on this one in specific, just because the track color is like gray, so it kind of blends in with everything compared to the Starfall one where that's green and yellow. And then if you look closely, you can also see some form of a weird looking S-bend. Looks like it's going vertical and then kind of dips into where we were just talking about, where that launch section / straight track with bank turn is at. I don't know, I'm always interested in Epic Universe construction, but I'm really interested to see the progress of the How to Train Your Dragon coaster, because it's one that is just, it's really fascinating to me to see how it's all put together. And then of course, all the different features, including the water feature in it and whatnot. Same with Donkey Kong Across the Way, since that's such a complex attraction. We obviously know what we're getting with the dual coaster, since we've seen dual coasters before and we can kind of tell with the different colors. But the How to Train Your Dragon coaster just looks so interesting, so I can't wait to see that progress a little bit more. The service building and station area looks like a complete mess right now, and it's really hard to make out exactly where everything's going to be at, but I figured I'd throw that in there because it just looks so messy, and I'm sure we'll start to be able to see a little bit more as time goes on. But right to the right in this shot, you can see the progress on the Great Hall restaurant, which still has some some layout to it, but still hasn't gone very vertical quite yet. But staying in the same realm of How to Train Your Dragon, I want to talk about something very, very exciting that has just recently started taking shape. And that is, of course, the theater attraction, which we have talked about before, where it's not gone vertical, it's just a plot of land, and we have not seen any shape or anything that would lead us to believe that it's a theater attraction. We're just basing it all surrounding rumors. However, now you can start to see it go vertical, and you can actually start to see the seating arrangement go vertical as well. It's starting to take shape a lot more. If you zoom in, you can definitely tell that these are going to be seats for some form of theater attraction. And then, of course, that brown patch of dirt will be the stage. Now, lots of rumors suggest that this is going to be How to Train Your Dragon show, the one from overseas, which I'm super excited about because I've seen clips from that show before, and I think that if they bring that to the US, that's going to be something next level, and it's going to make for some amazing theme park entertainment. But yeah, in my opinion, this is extremely exciting, seeing those seats start to take shape, and something that we don't just have to guess on anymore. Real quickly, talking about the Universal Monsters Land, not tons of progress since our last update. There still is the structures being built for obviously the village leading up to it, but one thing that I do find exciting is there is staging for the coaster, which is rumored to be themed to the Wolfman. There's actual track located in the parking lot, and this track looks for a tamer coaster. Now, I've seen people say that it could be a spinner coaster, which would be similar to rides like Cobra's Curse, Sierra Sidewinder at Knott's, stuff like that, where the coaster's actually spinning while you're riding it. It's not the most intense coaster, but the cool aspect of it is, of course, the car spinning while you're riding it. These tracks do look very similar to that. Like I said, they don't look like they'd fit on some form of intense attraction. So now as I can see clear track, I definitely think that that's going to be the case, themed to the Wolfman. And then, of course, around the track, you can see the different supports, which are also black. I'm curious to see if this coaster is just going to be all black and that's going to be the set theme. Obviously, that'd probably fit with the Universal Monsters Land. But that's all we have as far as the Universal Monsters Land goes right now. Something real quickly, too, that I'll touch up on, of course, is Super Nintendo World. Still on the same construction time period. Man, I'm really waiting for them to start to close up that Mario Kart building, because I think like 3 updates ago, I was like, I definitely think they're going to be closing up that Mario Kart building within the next few days or so, and they still haven't. It's just all, it's like the structure of the building, but nothing's been closed off quite yet. And one thing that I will say that has changed since the last time we talked about this is you can tell the Bowser Castle facade is starting to take a little bit more shape. Like, you can kind of see the early stages of it taking shape. But the rest of it seems to be relatively the same. The Yoshi attraction hasn't been covered quite yet, or at least the indoor section of it. The station's starting to get a lot more work done, but yeah, really no big updates as far as Super Nintendo World goes. Something that will actually sit right outside of Super Nintendo is one of the 3 main fountains located in the central hub of Epic Universe, and this one in specific is going to hold an attraction, some form of water theme to it. Now, lots of progress has been made on this recently, and there's just so much going on. This is similar to the How to Train Your Dragon's maintenance area and loading station. It's just a complete mess to where it's really hard to see what's going on, and I'm sure people who are more savvy with construction and all the logistics of it can point it out in the comments, but this just looks like a whole mess right now. However, it is exciting because we know that work is definitely going on to bring this water-based attraction to life. And then obviously when it's all said and done, this will all be surrounded by water, and you'll actually be sitting or riding something inside a body of water, or at least above a body of water. And like I said, this will be located right in front of Super Nintendo World and will be the second water fountain leading up to the Grand Hotel centerpiece. Now, one last thing I want to talk about before I wrap up this construction update is the brand new Wizarding World. There's a lot more detail going on as they prepare for the entrance of the main attraction and to start putting detail into all of the different villages, or not villages, I should say, all the city buildings. Because if you look closely enough, you can definitely tell that the top parts of this main facade look like the ones that were spotted by somebody else off-site. This land is going to be very, very tight. However, like I've said before, the main thing for the Wizarding World will be the Ministry of Magic attraction. And, you know, we don't know if where you're going to enter at is going to be where you enter in the line, or if there's going to be some form of indoor section that your guests can walk around in without riding the ride. I would think that's pretty cool if you can walk inside and actually visit the Ministry of Magic and then actually enter the line, or maybe that will just be a part of the queue. It all depends on how large in scale the ride will actually be, but judging based on all the construction work, it's going to be a very large scale attraction similar to Escape from Gringotts over at Universal Studios Florida. Now, there's tons of structures trying to bring the city buildings to life as well, as they're not only focusing on the attraction, they're also focusing on getting the surrounding city buildings brought to life and starting to add a little bit more detail to them as far as the structural work goes. But with that being said, I think we're at an exciting point in Epic Universe construction where everything is starting to take shape a lot more. And I know every construction update, sometimes I repeat myself, but that's just because there's so much more developing every single time that we are able to analyze all these different photos. And we're getting closer and closer to that next step. And that next step, of course, being detailed, where we're actually able to point stuff out a lot more easier. And we can look at something right away and be like, oh, you know what? That looks exactly like this, or that looks exactly like this. So as always, huge shout out to BioReconstruct for providing everybody with these photos for us to enjoy. But I want to know down below in the comment section, what are the notable changes that you have noticed or that you're most excited for that maybe we have missed on today's Epic Universe construction update? Let us know down below. But anyways, everybody, as always, make sure you're subscribed with those bell notifications on, because you're not going to want to miss the exciting week on this channel. Help us to get to 10,000. We're about 500 subscribers away, so please help us try to hit that milestone. Positivity is key, and most importantly, remember to keep exploring. Peace out, everybody.